Okay, Lightworkers, today is not a regular episode. Today is a family episode. Like, if Million Dollar Lightworker had a birth certificate, this guest's fingerprints are definitely on it. So here's the vibe. Marilyn Harper and I have worked together for the past 15 years. 15! I don't think I've worked anywhere that long. My team still supports her even though I'm rarely on stage or partnered up with her anymore, because now I'm doing my own thing with Enlighten.tv and all aspects of solopreneur production, and of course our studio at 120 Coon Creek. And baby, that is the grown woman evolution. We love each other and we let each other expand. That's the whole point, right? We traveled the world with Lee Carroll. We checked so many things off our bucket list, and we were of service while literally laughing our faces off. And somewhere in the middle of all that, we coined phrases that became our anchors, like everything is possible. You hear me talk about that all the time, and the ABCs of quantum living. And then during the last 5 years, it gave us one of the biggest Lightworker lessons ever. The way to make money was actually to do less. Not do less and get lazy, but do less of what isn't yours, or do less of what drains you, or do less of what you've outgrown. And at that point, even though Adirondack had said for years it would come, I had kind of outgrown what I was doing with Marilyn and went on to do other things, and I'm so grateful for that experience. And I want to say this clearly because I know who's watching. If you're a light worker who has been overgiving and maybe undercharging and calling it service, we're going to love you back into alignment today. And I also want to name something because we keep it real on this FaceTime. During COVID, Marilyn and I were traveling on business in San Diego, and she fell and broke her humerus. And because of a pre-diagnosis of pulmonary hypertension, they couldn't put her under in the usual way for surgery, and it complicated everything. And y'all, she died on the operating table. I mean, she came back, but she literally died on the operating table. And I stayed by her side for the next 6 weeks as her advocate while she was in the intensive care intubated. And I relayed updates to her family and her community. It was terrifying for me, and obviously for her too. And it changed something in both of us. Because when you brush up against the edge like that, all of the noise falls away. So today, yes, we're going to laugh, but we're also going to be us. And we're also going to talk about what becomes non-negotiable when you're given a second chance, and how that kind of clarity turns into worthiness and alignment and, yeah, being paid properly for the work you're here to do. So, okay, I'm taking a deep breath. She should be calling any second. Oh, here she is now. Marilyn, how are you?
Hello, Joy.
I am so happy right now. I could bite my own face. How are you?
You can bite your own face? You know, I don't think I've ever heard that term. I'm great, by the way.
Good. Okay, everybody, this is the Marilyn Harper. She is a globally recognized spiritual teacher and intuitive channel known for, and you get to experience it, her down-to-earth approach, humor, authenticity, and deep spiritual insight, and she will make you laugh and rearrange your whole nervous system in the process in the same sentence. Marilyn and I have worked together for a long time, and she channels Adirondack and the Council of Light, and she's been doing this work. Well, I have 15 years, but she's actually been doing it longer. She and I have been working together for 15 years, and now Marilyn, for anyone meeting you for the first time, is there anybody who's ever not met you for the first time?
There are a few people who have not met me for the first time.
That was kind of a trick question, you know, because the first time they meet you, they would be meeting you for the first time.
Yes, it is.
So Marilyn, give us your quick 20 seconds or less who you are and who you help.
Well, lots of people pay me to help them find their intuition, help them develop their channeling ability, their holographic healing ability, to be able to heal themselves and to be able to connect with their guidance and basically live a life that they will love.
Good job, Marilyn. She actually learned that in the Million Dollar Lightworker, and she did it right. I'm so proud of her. Did you notice
I knew you'd be thrilled.
she didn't say I work with, she said they hire her. That's a power statement. Way to go, Marilyn. So today is going to be, I think, one of the most fun episodes that I've ever done because Marilyn and I have so much fun together, and also maybe even one of the most real. So Marilyn, what are you working on right now that feels the most alive in you?
You mean besides healing my foot?
This is supposed to be fun.
Well, I'm working on healing my foot. I am working on a brand new refresh for a 6-level certification course called Holographic Healing. It is, it's so exciting because you and I started, in fact, you helped name holographic healing. I called it dimensional healing or some silly thing like that. And you renamed it holographic healing. And I've been doing it now for 10 years or 11 years. And we were doing it online before anybody else was teaching anything online. And those old videos are really grainy and out of date, and the information is new, and I'm redoing the whole thing, and I'm so excited about it.
So what's the why now behind it?
The why now?
Yeah, why now?
Because it's old and it needs to be refreshed, and all the information is new because, the energy, even 11 years ago, was... you can tell this is live. I'm getting a call. Are you there?
I'm here.
Okay. And it's not a spam call.
Well, hopefully it's not me.
No, it's not you. But it's, what we're finding is with holographic healing or with, personal healing, that the information and the energy, although it might be close to being the same, it's amplified. And so people are moving through it much more quickly. People are acknowledging it faster. And the way that we reprogram the brain now is actually different than it was even just 11 years ago. Things are changing so rapidly.
Well, that's exciting because I know that has been something near and dear to your heart for many years, and I've witnessed, you bringing this forward, and it really is an amazing program. And another amazing program that you teach is channeling in a way that is very practical. It's not intimidating. What's your simplest definition of channeling?
The simplest definition is to connect people, because I teach it, and we just started a new level. So if any of your audience wants to join in, I would still let them. It's teaching a person. Well, let me rephrase that. It's actually opening anyone up to their own ability to connect directly with their guidance system, to connect directly with their own higher source of information, and ultimately, if they choose to connect with guides outside of themselves. There's archangels, there's angels, there's ascended masters, and everyone has a set of guides. But for some reason, they don't feel like they can connect with them. And so what we do is we help them learn to connect with them. And if they want to channel, if they want to be what Adirondack calls a divine link between two worlds or multiple worlds, we help them open that frequency within themselves. That's not a short answer, is it?
That's perfect. And what do you see that people often get wrong about channeling?
They work too hard at it. It's channeling is one of our innate abilities, but due to lots and lots of things, um, training when we were a child, you see a being who maybe has crossed over, or you see spirits, or you see something, and as a child, you tell the nearest adult, "Guess what I saw?" And they say, "Oh, shut up! Don't make this. You can't make stuff like that up. Don't make it up. Don't stop lying," or something like that. So you shut that frequency down. And what we're doing is we're just opening your vibration again. We're reconnecting the dots again. And I think that it's easier than people think that it is. And they can use the skill absolutely in any profession. I mean, we have nurses that use it in their work, when they get the message to check the prescription or check the orders from the doctor. Many times they will find that a mistake has been made, maybe not by the doctor, maybe by someone else or whatever. Or if they intuitively, because it also develops your intuition. Your intuition is very closely related to your channeling ability. That's kind of where we start, is developing your intuition. And so intuitively they may, think that something's wrong, or maybe there's a salesperson that's using it in their sales ability, and they connect with their client. I know I've done this, and many other people connect with their client to see what it is they really want, which is not necessarily what they're saying, and they can actually connect to their client's guidance and provide them something that is even better than they think that they want. I've got one person that's a CEO of a major corporation, and he actually uses his channeling ability to connect with his staff, to connect with his team, to be able to provide them better service, provide them what they need, provide them what they want. I mean, it's just kind of one of those things that we've got artists. You can see this painting behind me. This is one of our channelers that made this painting. And now she makes her living doing art like this. And, there's so many ways that you can use channeling besides, channeling a multidimensional being like Adironda. But if you want to channel a multidimensional being, you can do that too.
Well, Marilyn, one of the things in having worked with you for so long, I think that I recognize is both a blessing and a curse, is that
Thank you very much. Let's not talk about the curse part.
It's a blessing in that you are so talented. There are so many things that you can do and that you want to do, like you're multi-passionate. It's a curse in that that's like the quickest way to create chaos in a business is to work on a whole bunch of different things, because it confuses, as you know, your customer now. So through the course of this journey, when you look back over everything that you've done, what are you most proud of becoming?
I think I'm most proud of becoming more of who I truly am. I mean, because I think that so many, I know I have this habit, and I know many others do as well, that they say things or they do things or they act in a way that they think will please whoever they're with. And that just doesn't serve. You've got that yes syndrome, or you've got that wanting to make people happy syndrome, and which is also a curse and a blessing, that I think I've grown out of that. And I think that I really strive to be open and honest with what I want to communicate, and I try to communicate it with love, and unconditionally open-heartedness. But I think that I'm becoming really more of who I am without that need to please.
And what's one moment from your work, channeling or healing, either one, where you felt, okay, this is why I'm here?
Can I give you 2 moments?
You may.
I think one moment is the very first time I was on a one-on-one basis. This was even before we started the class, teaching somebody to channel. I thought that was so cool. And the other moment is the first time I was working with somebody in their healing, and they had macular degeneration, and they couldn't see the fan above their bed, the ceiling fan. Oh, I'm getting another call.
It's not me, I promise.
And uh, and they're driving now. And that's another moment. Another moment is you've actually witnessed it. Is that moment when Adironda tells somebody how much they love them, and you realize that may be the first time they ever truly, ultimately felt loved in their whole life. And that's probably, if I were to only pick one, and I know I've got lots of them, but that's probably the one moment when you see that transformation coming over someone, that they get it. They feel loved, they feel present, they feel infinite. And that's an amazing moment itself.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, that moment that I witnessed where I saw that woman, where Adironda told her how much they loved her, that's when I decided I was working with you. Like, people on the planet have to experience this. It was so beautiful. I can still feel it in my body.
I know. It's one of those moments that you don't think about people not. I mean, when I was growing up, and I was really good. I picked great parents this lifetime, and I still got imprinted with stuff. So imagine people that didn't pick great parents this lifetime, and they may never have felt loved. I mean, for me, it was not something that I ever doubted. I never crossed my mind. But for many people in the world, they may not have ever felt that experience until Adironda looks deep into their soul and says how much they're loved and how much they love them. And it is powerful stuff for sure.
Yeah. Okay, changing subjects.
Oh dear.
Two Girls in a Galaxy. I know it's a passion project for you and me, and also Carl, who wrote and directed it, and Randy. We have so much fun in the studio when we've done it, and we've done 9 episodes of it. And it's our origin story, right? So
Yes.
In 20 seconds or less, how did we meet, and what do you remember about that first spark?
We met because Alexis, who opened the channel within me in 1999, was divinely ordered to meet you in 2010 because I shook my fist at God and said, I quit channeling unless you send me some help. And Alexis was guided to meet you and said, you need to call Marilyn Harper. And on January the 6th, 2010, you called me and said, I'm supposed to call you. What's Adironda? What's channeling?
Okay, and be honest, you won't hurt my feelings. What was your first impression of me?
That you were... this is recorded, so I don't know that I want to say. Because I thought you were a little stoic, non-compassionate, and I thought, honestly, during that very first phone call, I'd been doing private sessions all day, I'd been working all day, and it's like, what do you want? You want a session? Okay. And it wasn't really until you said Alexis's name that Alexis told you to call me. I thought, oh, okay, I need to pay attention to this. And it was pretty phenomenal after that because we talked on the phone for hours about everything. It was, and I never talked on the phone. Anybody that knows me knows that I don't really talk on the phone much. But we talked for hours about all kinds of stuff, the metaphysical stuff, the channeling stuff, the energy stuff, the focus stuff, the Akashic records. You found out some things about some of the people that you were friends with at the time, about why they were feeling this the way that they were feeling. You learned out what the Akashic records even are.
And when did you know, oh, this is a mission friendship?
I think there were two instances that really said, okay, we're doing this. One was after we in Siloam Springs, Arkansas. I can still see the look on your face when you were coming down the escalator in Siloam Springs, Arkansas, that is actually an airport in a cow field. And after that retreat, that weekend retreat, you got out your computer and said, people need to know about this. And I thought, oh, okay. And then it was probably about a few weeks later, I was actually you probably don't even know about this. I was actually in Indianapolis doing a group session and private sessions all weekend. And my friend had a problem with her knee and was in the hospital. And I was sitting in the hospital waiting room. And I was talking with you. And you said, okay, so if I'm going to help you build your business, if I'm going to do this, then we need to be partners and split it 50-50. And I, something like that. It took me aback, even though like I never think about business. I never think about that kind of thing. It just wasn't a part of my reality. And I stopped for a moment and I heard very clearly, we're doing this. So just say yes. And I said, okay, you bet.
Well, and then, a few years later, we traveled the world with Lee Carroll, and we served people all over in many different walks of life. And we had a lot of fun. We checked a lot of things off of our bucket lists. But is there a memory that still makes you laugh, cry?
Well, there is the time when we drove up in front of where we were both arguing. I never will drive on Highway 1 again. Because every time we drove on it, we argued. And then we pulled into the little town. We were both not speaking to each other. We pulled into the little town and parked in front of the town sign that said Harmony, population 6. that was pretty funny.
Yeah, I think that's my favorite one too. It was like, that was when I learned, Spirit has a really good sense of humor.
Yes. And then when we were like penniless and we drove up to Anacortes, Washington, remember we had to drive through 3 states and we didn't know how we were doing it. We had to get a hotel room. We had to broadcast, I think it was the double digit out of a hotel room, and the internet was awful, and we couldn't. And then there was driving through San Francisco with the cell phone out the window of the car while it was dark and raining
to maintain the cell signal.
Right. That was pretty funny. But in Anacortes, I remember, there were like 3 people registered for that event, and 2 of them were our hosts, so they weren't paying. And we thought, why are we going all the way up to Anacortes, Washington? And as we sat there, we set up 10 chairs only because wishful thinking, not because there were that many people registered. And like 30 or 40 people walked in the door. It was so, and I think that's when we both knew, okay, we've got something here. We are doing this. And it's just so amazing even when you are afraid, even when you think that this is not going to work at all, if you just take a deep breath, move through it, and trust, it all somehow works out.
Yeah, we learned a
And
lot of trust during that trip.
absolutely we did. Absolutely. And some of the most wonderful moments are, I mean, in Thailand, uh, it still brings tears to my eyes to see Mado. You remember Mado the elephant,
Yeah.
and that all of our people got to meet this amazing grandmother elephant that connects to us. And remember when there was actually one of the elephants passed away,
Mm.
and we watched the elephants go off into the jungle to be with the elephant that passed away
Hmm.
when she was passing, and then our cabin was right above them. Not the passing elephant, but that night they were brought back to their bedrooms, which were big pens, of course, and how they cried.
Yeah, I remember
The
that.
elephants cried. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, that just you don't think of an animal being so sensitive, and yet they are.
Yeah.
And that was just such an amazing time. I mean, I could go on and on and on and on about laugh, cry, laugh, cry, laugh, cry stories.
An interview of just laugh cry stories because
Yeah.
most of them are in Two Girls in a Galaxy.
Oh no, there's many, many more than that.
Okay, new question. We coined the phrase, we didn't make it up, but we use it all the time. Everything is possible. And also the ABCs of quantum living. We both use it in our teaching. In
Yes.
your words, what does everything is possible actually mean?
Everything is possible.
I know, how much more simple can it be?
Right. A lot of people say anything is possible, but that's not the same as everything is possible. I mean,
Yeah.
we even looked it up on the dictionary, remember?
Yeah.
And anything is possible means I like anything, but I don't like that.
Yeah.
Or anything is something very specific. But everything, I mean, I have the bracelet on my wrist right now. If I move my phone, see, there it is.
Yeah, I've got mine on too. I always wear it.
Yeah, when everything is possible, that means that the world is your playground. And if you can think it, if you can feel it, then it's already in the process of happening. And that is such a powerful thought, because this is another thing that's shifted in holographic healing, is that you have to think about things, but now if you feel it, you have to lean in and feel the energy, and that makes it so. I mean, it's so powerful to think that Adironda has said this so many times, we are the most creative life force on this planet. Maybe in this galaxy, definitely in our solar system. And why would we think it was any different? People don't believe. People, I was somewhere this morning, and they were talking about, oh yeah, yeah, I just hate it that I have to be in here to work instead of being out in this beautiful weather. And it's like, I thought, be aware of what you say. It might be a purchase order for losing your job.
Yeah, everything is
Because
possible.
everything is possible. So what you feel is what's being created. If you feel unworthy, then that's what you're going to create. And you will actually create situations which just, pisses me off sometimes. Can I say that?
You just did.
uh, that we create situations that reinforce that. And we create relationships with people that reinforce the feelings that we're actually feeling about ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Until we get it, and until we stop it or shift the habit. They say that when we did 21 days to freedom from addiction and habits, you don't ever break a habit. You just replace it with something more positive. And that habit of those feelings of negativity, those feelings of not being happy, those feelings of, I've been trying something a little different in the past few days, actually, since we recorded the double digit. Um, and one of the people that we had as guests reminded me to go to bed, and we used to do this. We would be in our hotel room, and you'd be in your bed, and I'd be in my bed, and all of a sudden, in the silence, we'd hear, "I am going to have a wonderful sleep, and I'm going to make wonderful dreams, and tomorrow I'm going to wake up refreshed before the." You remember that?
I do.
And then we'd jump out of bed the next morning and, "Hello, goddess."
Good
And
morning,
we'd say,
goddess.
"Oh, what a wonderful day it's going to be." And that makes a huge difference. I mean, it's so important to to realize that every emotion you have are still important, that you have them. You don't have to be happy all the time. If you're sad, be sad. If you're upset, be upset. But usually there's something else going on besides what's really you're sad about right now or what you're upset about, because the issue is never the issue. It's something else that's been triggered in your life. And I think that's what everything is possible is all about, getting back to your question. Is that it keeps in your forefront the fact that the universe is filled with infinite possibilities. And all you have to do is tap into those possibilities and embrace them for yourself. And that's when everything becomes possible. Well, that's when everything is possible. It's just our own belief system that doesn't accept it.
Yeah, yeah. Um, well, if it feels okay to share, I'd really like to talk about San Diego and your fall and the surgery complications and crossing over and coming back. What do you remember and what changed after?
Well, just to give I don't know if your audience knows a little bit of the backstory. After COVID, Lee built a studio in San Diego, and we would go there eh, intentionally every month to record. And this was only our second time there. And we were outside of leaving a restaurant, a Mexican restaurant in San Diego area, and I took a tumble. I I have no idea how it happened. It was like I flew through the air and slammed into a giant trash dumpster that was in the parking lot and broke my arm. And it was a pretty bad break, and I had to have surgery. And due to a prior diagnosis, they had to bring in a special cardiovascular anesthesiologist. And during the surgery, and then once while I was in ICU, I died on the surgery table, and I died after that when I was in ICU. And I remember I didn't see Jesus. I didn't see the golden light. I didn't see the tunnel. I was so upset about that. But what I did hear was a very peaceful voice that said, "Well, do you want to go or do you want to stay?" And I wanted to stay. I chose to stay. And when my surgeon saw me after I got out, I was in ICU for 17 to 20 days and in the hospital for a month. And you knew something happened during the surgery when you meet your surgeon after the surgery, and he gives you a hug and says, "I'm so glad you're still here." You know something happened. And what's different afterwards? Well, at that moment, he said that I would be on 24/7 oxygen for the rest of my life, that I would probably have to limit my travel, and that I would be leading a different kind of life. And I said, that's not really my reality. And so my heart was, the right side of my heart was severely enlarged over the left side of my heart. And I just, and they said that could never change either, I would just be stuck. And I said, that is not my reality. And now my pulmonologist that I go see up in St. Louis, and I now have a pulmonologist here that I haven't seen in 6 years, since 2019. I saw him just this week sometime. And he hugged me and said, yay. And something's different when your doctor hugs you. And I actually changed the shape of my heart, and through holographic healing. And he said that the heart is mildly enlarged. Then he said, and the only reason I say it's mildly enlarged is because all of my training says it's not possible to change the shape of your heart. So it's pretty near. And the other doctor up in St. Louis said exactly the same thing. So it's pretty nearly that that fact. And as you can see, I'm not on oxygen 24/7. I do still have oxygen at night because I've discovered that I don't breathe at night. I go to sleep and I sleep. I don't breathe. So it's an interesting energy there. So I'm reminding my body when I go to sleep, it's okay to breathe. Breathe all night long.
Well, from my side with that experience, advocating for you in ICU was one of the scariest and yet at the same time most sacred things that I've ever done. What did it mean to you to be held like that? And what did it teach you about receiving support?
Well, I mean, as you well know, one of my endearing qualities is that I feel like I have to do it all myself. It's like, if this is not happening, I'll just do it, which is not necessarily the best way to approach any situation. And it forced me to surrender totally. I mean, I had to surrender to the nurses. I remember the first time I had to go to the bathroom, and I was so humiliated because I had 42,000 things hooked up to me, and I was trying to get to this was right before the surgery, and going to the bathroom, and the nurse says, "Well, if you're going to have something done, you ought to hire a professional," and that's me. I'm a professional. And, okay, but it was. I had to let people help me. I couldn't even. I was intubated. I had wires. I had things in my arms. I had things in my legs. I mean, it was just, horrendous. And I had to, and I wasn't sedated. They tried to sedate me, but the sedation didn't work for some reason. And I, I had to let people help me. And then when I came home, I thought, just leave me alone. And I can't tell you how many, you included, came over, helped me move around, helped me do what needed to have happen. And it was a humbling experience. And it was also an experience of surrender, to realize that everything happens for a reason. And I've learned a lot from that experience. And one of the things that I've learned is that it's okay to receive help. It's okay. And I remember when we were in Bimini. And the first time you told the whole story that I had heard of what happened to you when I was in the hospital, and I was like, I just wept. It's like, holy moly, bless your heart. I'm so sorry. I apologize for putting you through that, because it was a lot. It's like the hospital lost me for 5 days. And you had my family calling, and you were holding the fort and calling people and sending out the texting and emails that said to send me energy. And I could tell when people were working on me. It was so wild. And I've never been on the receiving end of so much love and so much energy before. It was one of those experiences that, yes, we would love to forget, but I will never forget it. It was very powerful. And it also is a testament as to what determination the human spirit has. Because, the second time I said, I want to stay, was when I was in ICU. And, and, but I don't like all these things sticking out of me. And, and I, and I said, I want to stay. And the nurses rushed in and did what they needed to do to keep me alive. And I had this thing in my throat that they were measuring my heart, my pressure in my heart. And it popped out. And they could not get it back in. So every day at 4 o'clock, I had a chest x-ray, but, 4 a.m., but, but that was okay. The human spirit is so... I'm so happy to be human right now because it's so powerful.
Yeah, it is. It's a fun experience. Definitely. And a lot has changed since then, in our work, our businesses separately. Let's talk a little bit about worthiness and money. So after an experience like that, where life gets very real, very fast, how did or do you think it had any impact on your ability to finally charge what your work is worth?
I, 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 I don't know. I don't know if that was what makes the difference, or I, you're not going to like this response. I still would give everything away. Not that I don't think that what the work is valuable enough, because quite honestly, it's priceless. It is the work that we do is so powerful, and I see lives change right before my eyes. But I can't. I don't really think. I don't really want to think about the money. I don't really want to get all caught up in. How much is it worth? It's worth $1 million. It's worth. How much is it worth for someone to have a direct connection with God, a direct connection with their source, and with their body to realign it, to heal it, and to stay connected and live intuitively 24/7, always being in the right place in the right. You can't even put a price on that. And so every time I price something, I talk to the team and they reprice it because I don't. It's not tied up in my worth. I don't think it's instead it's because I know the work that I do is priceless. I watch it every single week. I hear from people every single week how their lives are transformed, and I'm so thrilled that I get to help. I get to help hold the space for their transformation. And you cannot put a price tag on that, although we do, because, we have to keep the doors open, we have to pay the electric bill, and that's okay. People talk to me all the time in the academy, and is like, how do you charge for what you're doing? And I'm like, the energy is maybe free, but I mean, your connection to spirit may be free, but your time, your personal energy, that's worth a lot. And I know that for me, I mean, people connect with me all the time and ask me all kinds of wild questions that I have no idea about. And I personally, all I have to do is take a breath, breathe into it, find the connection with Adironda, and they'll have their answer. And and that's worth something. And and I get to teach people to do it. And I feel so lucky to get to teach people to do it. That's why I love doing it so much. I would do it whether I got paid or not. But it's a lot easier if you get paid. And it's our society places a dollar value on your worth, and so therefore, if my dollar value is worth $1 million or $2 million because of the work that I do, because of the transformation that I see, okay, that's great. I can't argue with that, because it's such a big part of my life. It's like somebody says, "Well, what are your hobbies?" Well, this is my life. Who needs a hobby? But we also have to have balance in our lives. And I think that it's so important to have the realization that other people value you, and that value that they place shows up in a dollar figure, in addition to several other ways. I know that's not quite an answer to your question, but I mean, it being spirit led, as you well know. Adironda doesn't really pay much attention to money, although they do want me in my life to be supported. And so that's for many spiritual people. That's where they have that rub, that discrepancy. So when you're spirit led, I mean, what Jesus said, the lilies of the field never want for anything. Why would you? So what's the difference? And if in today's world, our value is money, is dollars, and that provides us with a home, that provides us with a car, that provides us with electricity, that provides us with a cell phone, so we can talk to you, and and that is a part of it. And is it wrapped up in your personal value? Somehow it is. Um, and it's okay to make a living. It's okay to make more than a living, so you can take a vacation, so you can give your money away, so you can support your favorite charities, and that's a wonderful thing to do. Am I answering your question?
Your answer is your answer, Marilyn. Your answer is your answer. I actually heard, I was thinking about when you were talking, I heard somebody the other day say, money doesn't buy you happiness, but it sure buys you a hell of a lot more options.
Yes, it does. It
Yeah.
absolutely does. And I remember I remember when golly, we were sitting on some park bench, table, some park, and we were somewhere at a park, and we were arguing once again about money, and you said, you've got to charge more for your private sessions. And I was like, I don't think people will pay it. and we charged more for my private sessions, and we were sold out immediately.
Yep.
And, and and that's something that we all get the opportunity to realize, is that that our time, our energy, our personage, our knowledge is valuable.
Yeah, I heard another quote also. I'm trying to remember exactly what it was, but it was about giving away things for free. Maybe Carl remembers. It was like when people pay, they pay attention. When people pay, they pay
Absolutely.
attention. And that's part of it is like, you know, like with Million Dollar Lightworker, it's a high ticket offer. And part of it is because I want to work with people who are very serious about making an impact on the world. And,
Right.
you know,
And
so there's a lot of, I mean, our society works off of money. And, you know, you can either charge or you can go out and find a donor and get them to donate your lifestyle, you know. I mean, there's lots of ways of making money and receiving money, you know. Yeah. Okay.
see, can I say one thing?
Sure.
In the Million Dollar Lightworker, the thing with that is what you do is you help people see their own worth. And now, having sold the program this is the first time in the How to Channel and the Channelers Academy, I'm seeing, I mean, those people show up to every office hours and to every module, and they are there to learn. They
Yep.
are there to move forward. They are committed. And and I think, wow,
Yeah.
that's great. And that's the difference. That's so powerful with your high ticket offer. Is it as you say, they pay attention.
Yeah.
They
Okay.
are committed.
So, what do you see for the future? Your work, your students, and the collective. What are you excited about creating next?
Well, I'm excited about redoing holographic healing.
Yeah.
And that is and and I, even though it makes me kind of nervous, and I think I'm excited about creating a facilitators program, a program to train people to teach the Channelers Academy and to train people to teach holographic healing and to train people that they can indeed have a business as well, and that legacy goes on, because quite honestly, from everything that I know about other people who teach channeling or healing, we do it differently than they do. And 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 I think that's important to go on with that. And that's exciting. Um, Adironda says that in the next 15 years, all the people on the planet will get the opportunity to become enlightened. I want to see that happen. Can you imagine? Talk about everything being possible. If everybody on the planet were living their best life, if they were living a life that they love, if they got up every day and were excited about going to work and excited about how they were earning their money and receiving their money and loving their family, and golly, the world would be a different place. And somehow I get to help with that consciousness, for the world becoming aware of who they are, and that they are the creators of their own world, and that then it releases that victim mode.
Yeah. Okay. My favorite part. You should be really good at this because you're an intuitive. So, here we go. It's the microwave moment, Marilyn. Rapid fire, no overthinking this. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. When I say integrity, you say,
Honesty.
When I say money, you say,
Lots of it.
when I say impact, you say,
Unlimited.
when I say second chance, you say,
Everybody's got one.
when I say everything is possible, you say,
Let's teach it.
all right, well, that is why people feel you, Marilyn. That was really, really fun. And I just want to thank you, Marilyn, from the bottom of my heart, truly. Thank you for 15 years of working together, of being of service to each other and to the people around us, for all the laughter and the tears that we've shared and the truth that, we've discovered between us. And also thank you for being part of the origin story of Million Dollar Lightworker. Before I even knew that's what I was building, Adironda told both of us long ago that I would build something, that would be outside of Adironda, and I just couldn't even see what it looked like. And I just want to say this out loud. I will never forget San Diego. I will never forget the ICU. I will never forget, just praying and hoping and holding intention and advocating and being like, not today, universe. And seeing you here now, alive and thriving, and like I've seen you take your teaching to a whole new level, and just I've seen you finally allow yourself to be fully compensated. And that just gives me chills, Marilyn.
It gives me chills too. And I want to thank you, Joy, because without you, I worked for 11 years and had to have a full time job and worked on my days off and worked before Joy, BJ, and before Joy. And and you, because of you and the way I've worked with you, and I just want to thank you and for teaching me so much about myself and about business and about how it all works and about, you have a true gift of seeing things from a higher perspective. And that not everyone has that. So thank you.
Thank you. I think we, somewhere before we ever landed on this planet, we signed up for a very special journey together.
I'm sure we did because we probably wouldn't have agreed to it if we knew what was going on.
Or we wouldn't have spent that much time trying to figure out how to finally work together.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
Marilyn, tell everybody where they can find you, your website, and we'll also drop it in the chat, but also where to go if they want to learn about your channeling or about your healing programs or just to be a part of your world.
Well, my website is adironda.com. That's ADIRONNDA.com. Is it possible for me to give your listeners a gift?
Absolutely. Right now, you can promote anything that you want to share with our listeners.
I would love to give them a gift. Randy and I have created some powerful CDs, recordings. They're not CDs any longer, and they're available in the Discovery portal on our website, Adironda.com. And I would like to give all of your listeners the opportunity to receive that first level, that discovery level that carries, I don't know, 15, 20 different meditations, activations. It's got Akashic Records classes. It's got spiritual happy hour that we've done together. It's got 7 days with Yeshua. It's got, a whole bunch of stuff. The frequency of the month changes every month. It's got the weekly message changes every week. It's got a whole bunch of stuff. Anyway, they can find that at adironda.com, ADIRONNDA.com /bliss, BLISS, bliss, because life is simply spiritual. and at Adirondack.com/bliss. Now, when they register, it's going to ask them for all their information because that's the way the universe works. But they get a promo code that gets them that for free, and that's worth $44. So I'd like to give all your listeners that.
That's
okay?
awesome. Yeah, I mean, that's like the last 20 years of work. Remember how I told you she did a lot of different things? They're all in there. It's worth
They're
going
all
in
in
just to
there.
see all of
Absolutely.
that. Well,
And,
Marilyn, go ahead.
plus we get the double digit is also the next level, and heart to heart is also the next level. So go to my website and just poke around and see what you can find there.
Yeah, it is definitely a spiritual cornucopia of things to do. Well, Marilyn, thank you so much for coming on. I'm so grateful for you, and I just appreciate you so much. And I am cheering from my lane for all of the things that you're doing, and especially this new direction that you're going with the Channelers Academy and with holographic healing.
My pleasure, and thank you for all that you do.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, well, if you didn't feel that in your chest, check your pulse. Because here's what I want to land for you. Every light worker out there who's been playing small, your gift is real, and you're allowed to be paid for it. Worthiness isn't something you wait for. It's something that you practice. And sometimes the biggest spiritual message isn't a download. Sometimes it's an event that clears the clutter and makes your soul say, so if you've been overgiving, undercharging, and calling it being a good person, you can be deeply spiritual and be wildly supported. You can do less and receive more. And listen, especially for my women 40 to 80, you're not late, you're not behind, you're never too old, and you're never too young. You are right on time. And right on time has a frequency. And this is what we do inside the Million Dollar Lightworker. It's for lightworkers who are done treating money like a moral issue and ready to treat it like a mission amplifier. And if MDL isn't open or you want a gentler on-ramp, come join us on the Conscious Creator Circle, because that's where we keep it practical, supportive, and consistent, so you're not building your dreams alone. And Lightworker, go take one brave action today. Just one, that's all it takes, because everything is possible, and you don't have to do it the hard way anymore. I'll see you on Million Dollar Lightworker FaceTime next time. Bye-bye.